Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Tim and Bennett and Mike sit down to discuss Marine Corps and everything awesomeness with Luke Urick. Did I say that right? Is it Urick? Urick.
Yeah, Urick.
See, I always mess this up. Luke Urick, fellow
I told
Marine.
you how to say it, ass.
He's a fellow Marine. He's an 0341. He's got cat in his background, which is fantastic. Did some Iraqi operations, what have you. Scout sniper. We were rolling into some sea stories before we kicked the intro, and it sounds like we really share in a few different similar backgrounds here. So really glad to have you on the show. Really excited to get into what you're up to now. So welcome to Cigars and Sea Stories, Luke Urick. Did I say it right that time?
Yep.
Aha!
Yeah, that works, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Great to have you on. So what are you up to? What are you doing?
So right now, currently, I'm a graduate student at the University of Great Falls. I'm working on my master's in organization management. I got done with my bachelor's degree in psychology last year. Additionally, I run the Veteran Lounge at UGF, where we give a place for veterans to get away from traditional students in order to study and accomplish their mission as students. Because I'm sure you guys can understand that going back to school with some 18-year-olds right now would be extremely painful. And it is for a lot of us who do go back to school. And so being able to get away from those students and kind of be around people with the same mentality, the same groupthink is nice for, like I said, accomplishing that mission. And then along with that, I'm running I'm the program manager for the Montana Vet Program, and we're working on getting stood up to help veterans around the state of Montana and surrounding states deal with some of their issues. I'm sure you guys are aware of all the statistics, but in Montana, we lose approximately one veteran per week to suicide. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the report that came out from the VA that refined its numbers down to 20 veterans kill themselves every day in the United States. And I just feel that there's something fundamentally wrong with the idea that we send our nation's finest to do our country's initiatives, and then when they come home, the only resource they have is a broken down VA system that essentially only recommends over the counter prescription psychotropic drugs, or a counselor who's never been to combat, and they expect that to fix our guys' problems. And obviously it hasn't been, because here's the deal. The average age, how was it? 65% of the veterans who have been killing themselves are over the age of 50. In Montana, the average age of veteran who's killing himself is 61 years old. So that tells me that veterans from Vietnam are still killing themselves because they were never properly healed. And that's what we're going to do with the Montana Vet Program, is we're going to try to help these guys out and prevent this kind of stuff. Because here's the deal. We need all those vets. That's a group of individuals in our country that we need to have around, because like we kind of talked about a little bit before, but the climate of this country and our political, whatever you want to call it, is shameful. And we need those people around, and we need to help them out better than our country's doing right now. Because in all honesty, it's shit. So that's what we're doing, and that's what I'm up to.
That's fantastic.
Amen, brother.
It's awesome. Preach, brother.
I love the fact that you're incorporating within the academic environment. You're incorporating, there's that student veterans initiative that's there, but I also commend you on the fact that you've highlighted this Vietnam era, because there's so many different mentorship opportunities. That's one of the things that I love doing with Bunker, is to be able to pull in a lot of those. It's the older generation, but there are very successful Vietnam veterans also to pull in and then plug into the overall scope of things, the overall network. And you're like, look, guys, like, you can totally do this. Like, you can come back blown apart and everything else, and still be extremely successful achieving the American dream. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, and the other thing too, like as far as the Vietnam veteran goes, our generation owes those individuals so much. Those individuals went through so much. First off, to lose 50,000 individuals in a campaign, and then to come home and then to be spit on, and then to come home and not have the VA recognize PTSD as a real issue. That's a significant obstacle for those guys to overcome, which they did for us, and we reap the benefits for that. And additionally, here's the biggest thing that we benefit from those guys. In my time being out, I've been out about 4 or 5 years now, and I've been, within the VA system as a work study. I've been helping veterans go to school. I've been doing veteran initiatives here in Great Falls as well. And the one thing that I've learned from Vietnam veterans is what not to do. And what a lot of those guys did is they came home, they bottled up their pain, they bottled up all that anxiety, all that depression. They kept it inside. They used coping mechanisms like drinking, hardcore drugs, and a lot of them burned out. A lot of them have gone through 3 or 4 marriages and been divorced. A lot of them have been strung out until they get to the point where they're about 60 years old, right? And then they decide to go look for some counseling and start opening up and talking about some of the issues that they've had. And so what we've learned from those guys is that we need to be talking about this stuff immediately. We need to not use drugs. We need to not use alcohol as a coping mechanism for the issues that we're dealing with. And so I am grateful to the Vietnam vets. For all veterans, I have a soft spot, but for Vietnam vets, I take my hat off for them, because I get to live the way I do because those guys suffered the way they did.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely. And they're, the vast majority of them they're sort of in the age group of our dads, Yes. And when you talk about mentoring partnerships, it's sort of ideal that they're in that age group now. And most of the post 9/11 veterans, we span age groups, obviously. I'm 49, but they're significantly younger, and it's just a natural fit. Yep. And with all the things they went through and survived, we can learn a lot from them.
Absolutely.
Now,
so with the MVP program, talk to me about this pig egg project.
Yeah. So
a pig
within
egg.
the month, yeah. So
I haven't heard the term in a while.
Pig egg, right?
Yeah, I know what pig egg is.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Right. So the pig egg, right? That comes from the Marine Corps Scout Sniper community, and basically the pig egg is a sandbag. It weighs anywhere from 35 to 50 pounds. It can be a rock. It can be whatever it is. In my platoon, it was sandbags, or in at sniper school it was too. And so that sandbag, that pig egg, goes into your pack on top of all your other mission essential equipment. And the idea is that it is to incur suffering, and basically it's a tool to help weed out the weak. Anyway, so one of my good friends, Scott Moss, who's another stay Marine, he came up with the idea of making our own pig egg. And what his idea was to take the pig egg concept, and instead of using sand to fill it, we used the 6,839 dog tags from the men and women who have died in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we've gone through and we've inspected each dog tag, and on each dog tag is an individual's name, middle initial, first initial, date of birth, hometown, operation, and date of death, and branch of service that they were in. And so we put that into our pig egg, and our pig egg then ends up weighing 75 pounds. And we've been taking that with us, man. For us, it's kind of a way to remember the fallen, number one, and to remind ourselves that we haven't forgot about them, and that they haven't died in vain, and that we're keeping their memory alive. And additionally, it serves as kind of a metaphor for us and for our trips in the future, is that, the pig egg is heavy and it's really painful. It's 75 pounds, but it carries like it's like 90, if you know what I mean. Like, we have a special pack that we got from Kifaru or Kifaru, and it's a meat hauler pack. But anyways, I don't know if you guys are familiar with their equipment. It rides really low on your back, and you really can't do a whole lot about it. You guys would put a ruck on.
Right.
You know, that's exactly how you don't want to carry it.
Right.
But so it carries like it's 90 pounds, man. But anyways, you know, it serves as a metaphor because it is a struggle to carry our pig egg. But at the same time, it represents that the depression, the anxiety, the symptoms of PTSD, you know, the individuals go through, and how heavy it can be on a person's spirit, right? And as we go through our trips, you know, we take guys up into the mountains. You know, the mountains then represent life. And for one individual to get, you know, to make it through the mountains with that type of weight on his back is damn near impossible. However, if we can do it as a team, you know, we have groups of guys that come together, we can do this as a team. We can get over the freaking mountains by lightening the load for each other. And, you know, on the way, you know, that's the big piece. The big thing that we preach is healing through camaraderie. Right now, we've got counseling, we've got psychotropic drugs, and what we've been referring to as the third leg of the tripod for healing is camaraderie. And I think that that's something that most agencies, you know, civilian agencies, they always overlook. I've gone to a number of summits, and I've listened to people talk, and how are we going to help veterans? And, you know, we need to put this in place, we need to put that in place. And they never talk about veterans just dealing with veterans, right? One of the fundamental issues with veterans getting help is that the people who are giving them help aren't veterans, right? And so, for example, like when I go see a counselor, right? And if he's not a veteran, there's a relatability issue. There's a barrier, right? I can't relate to him because he's never been through what I am. And so one way that I illustrate this for people who don't seem to get it is like, it would be the same as a woman trying to explain to a man what it's like to give birth, right? They just can't, you can't understand birth unless you've been through it, right? And so that's one of the big issues I feel like with the VA system right now is that, you know, we don't have these veterans in place to help these guys out. And that's the big part of our trips is that healing through camaraderie. And that's where I feel like our pig egg helps bring guys together, because we all have individuals in that bag that we remember, and it serves a couple purposes for us. And that's in the pig egg project. Then back to your original question, is simply taking our pig egg through over long distances as a team in order to accomplish a mission, you know, deal with some healing along the way, forming some camaraderie, and you know, rocking and rolling, and and the other thing too is to get veterans off their asses and moving again. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a time where people, you know, veterans get out of the military, and you know, some of my buddies do it too. Guys get out of the military and they lose their willingness to stay in shape, right? And like 7 out of 10 veterans right now who receive help from the VA are either overweight or obese, and we need to change that. We can't fall into that same mold that we see civilians in, where a third of the country is obese, right? We need to stay as warriors. We need to remind ourselves that just because we're not in the service doesn't mean that we're not warriors. And that's what we're doing with the Pig Egg Project.
Very cool.
Awesome. So awesome. The reason I bring that up is just because that is I saw the MVP video, I think, and I watched it, and then I called you like right after that.
Yeah.
But before you guys went out on your walk there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And that just like, it went to, you know, I get it. So I was, that's what really brought that up to me, and really like was like, holy shit, this is awesome. You know? So
yeah,
good stuff, brother.
So your background, kind of digging into it, so that way folks have a better understanding, because we know now that you're a scout sniper, but you're a fellow Marine. What was your MOS?
0341 or 8541 is what I was. A 41 for like SOI, and then I became an 8541 or 0317 for the late class.
Right. Now, didn't you do a deployment with CAT though?
Yeah, well, I was weapons platoon, right? But I was 81s. But then we went CAP, not CAT, combined action platoon. So not cat, but like I was in weapons platoon with cat, so I knew a lot of those guys. In fact, one of the good guys, one of my best friends is a cat Marine, and he's in our video. He's an outstanding Marine. So nice. Yeah, I know cat Marines.
So what'd you do during that deployment? Because that was pretty interesting. We were talking before we actually hit record over here, and you were sharing something about working with the Iraqi police, or is it military?
Well, so when we first got there, right, that would have been what was that, 2004? Off the top of my head, 2004. Yeah, so I got there. I was booed as hell in our platoon because we didn't, mortarmen weren't really needed. Right. At that time when we first got there, right? So what was commonly done with those guys is they were broken up into cap platoons, where half the section would go be the ground troops for CAT, and then the other section would go and work with Iraqi National Guardsmen, the ING at the time. And so I got to go work with the Iraqi National Guardsmen, which was kind of a neat mission. So we had our own facility, had our own compound, our NCOs, we had our lieutenant and staff sergeant as our, staff NCOIC. And we were away from everybody else, and we had Iraqis. We were training them how to, clear houses, do IED sweeps. And so there was that language barrier that we had to overcome, as well as teaching these guys how to use their weapons properly. And I mean, it wasn't always awesome. I mean, we'd be out on patrol and these guys would ND like 3 goddamn times a fucking patrol. So it was half the time you wanted to slap the shit out of them. And they weren't the greatest warriors. I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit on Iraqis, but the guys that we got, I got one dude that I can remember. We called him Monster. And that's like the one dude I'd take into a bar fight out of about, what did we have? Probably 200 guys, I think, at one time. But then our platoon got refined down to, what did we have? We were running with 30 of them, and so they weren't, it wasn't the greatest, but that was our mission. That's what we did. And we did a good job. Anyway, so then we get the order drops for, Operation Phantom Fury. And so, to put, I guess, maybe that kind of political view of this thing was to be able to put the Iraqis' face in the battle as well. They had us take in the Iraqi National Guardsmen so that people could see that, Iraq was fighting for its city and all that bullshit. And so we actually went through, Fallujah with these guys, and, that was a hell of an experience to do with those guys.
Doing a sweep with foreign nationals. So the majority of your team is foreign nationals, and you're sweeping through Fallujah.
Yeah, and I'm fucking, 23 years old, I think, as a squad leader doing that.
Good shit.
Completely fearless.
Yeah, dude. So it was, but that, that was the mission. And we had the Marines that were around us, and the NCOs, they will always have a place in my heart because they were just, they taught me so much. And that's kind of the theme. You guys know that as well as I do, is being part of the Marine Corps is you just get thrown into shit and you make it work. And kind of you guys were talking about a little bit before is, other branches need to have this and that. And if they don't, then they can't operate. Well, as well as I do, is that's not how the fucking Marine Corps is. Like, here's a fucking e-tool. Here's a, fucking granola bar. Go make some shit happen.
MacGyver that fucking thing together.
Yeah, make that into a fucking AT4 and let's rock and roll. And so that's what we did. And so we pushed through, and we were fortunate to we didn't have any KIAs. We had some serious wounded in action, Iraqis, but I'm not, enough of our brothers bled in that goddamn battle, so having a couple of them bleed too was fitting, I thought. But
right,
so that's where we were at. Anyway, so I got done with that deployment, man, and I came home and instantly volunteered to go to the sniper in-doc. And at that time, we had some outstanding snipers. They had just reaped havoc. During that deployment, I think every single sniper we had a Purple Heart. And so then they ran the sniper indoc for us, and they just ran us through the ringer, man. Those guys just let us
unmerciful.
And, and it was outstanding. One of my fondest memories is, getting the shit kicked out of me with a couple other guys who I'm still good friends with, for however long it was, just to make it into that platoon. One of the things I'm more proud of. So yeah, it was outstanding, man.
Hell yes. Well, good. So you earned your Hogstooth when?
So that was, I gotta remember, 2005.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Which then I lost my goddamn Hogstooth.
No.
I'm a terrible hog.
You are. We should make you not a pig. You can't make you a pig again, but something in between. I don't know, like a sow, maybe. Maybe we should call you a sow. I can do that because I'm a hog. These other two, they can't say anything like that.
I can't.
Nope.
I know I can't. I shut my fucking mouth.
Nope. Yeah,
I was pleased to hear you refer to yourself as an 8541 as opposed to 0317. That whole kind of threw me for a loop when it happened. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was actually an instructor. I was an instructor up in Bridgeport. I was an instructor at the Mountain Warfare Training Center. And I instructed so there's your fucking sow comment. Fuck you.
Bridgeport was fucking awesome, dude. I loved it.
I tried to get stationed at Bridgeport for so many years, and there just was no way it was ever going to happen. That'd be
man. I was really fortunate to get up there, dude. And then to get to meet all the snipers. It was kind of cool because that would have been like 2008 timeframe, and a lot of stuff was kind of gearing down from Iraq, and so a lot of snipers ended up going up there at the same time, and so there was, I think, like 8 or 9 of us up there at the same time running that course, and it was outstanding. We didn't just run that, dude. We ran fucking man tracking, skiing, rappelling, survival, over snow mobility, high angle fire. I mean, you name it, we did it. And so
that's so much stuff to do up there. It's crazy.
What years?
Yeah, man. And as the seasons change, dude, you're shifting mission and you're shifting like what you're teaching these guys. And then, just teaching, number one, too, just teaching guys, guys, I don't want to say get complacent because that's not the correct word, but guys get used to fighting. We had a colonel up there that said that, if you could fight in the mountains, you could fight anywhere. But if you fight in the desert, you can't fight anywhere else. And I kind of agree with that because a lot of guys kind of got used to that flat terrain. You can see everything from anywhere. And then they'd come up to Bridgeport and now you're in a 3-dimensional boxed in geographical
totally lost
environment with 4 feet of snow. And, you've got frostbite lingering everywhere. It really showed guys what it's like to fight a war, get your head wrapped around that is a whole new learning experience.
Yeah. I loved Bridgeport so much. It
totally makes you realize that why back in the day they were like, yeah, we're just not going to fight in the winter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that shit sucks.
Well, in the dark, let's make a fire and pitch a tent.
Ceasefire until spring, guys. Okay? Break.
Right. Yeah. What I thought was really interesting. So, of course, as you're going through it, you bitch and moan along with all the other Marines internally amongst the squad members, but you're good.
Because that's what we do.
Right. So, but they give you the briefing in the beginning saying, like, some of you might excel out here in the mountains. And I was lucky enough to be one of those guys, and that's where I learned how to be a patrol leader and actually do, all of the necessary ancillary stuff also along with leading Marines out in the field. But it was just so fantastic. And it was September, so it went from, hey, this is really nice, to waking up like under snow.
Yeah.
And just like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, my 81s are covered right now. So we did, when was that? I went to Bridgeport in 06. September of 06. Nice. So I don't know if we were in there at the same time, but I thought it was cool. So, and it was an ass kicker when we were going through it.
First time I went to Bridgeport was 1989, and it was May, And we were supposed to be doing a summer package. You know, the whole battalion, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, went up there to do a summer package. And, you know, so the weather was good. And you know how they do the battalion packages where they kind of progress in elevation. You know, you go out for a few days, you come back, and then you go out to a higher elevation, do some more training, and then you come back to the base camp.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out.
Yeah.
You know, steps like that. And at the end, you're in a helicopter. They drop you off at 11,000 feet, and you go do your thing and haul your Akio down the mountain and all that kind of stuff. And so, of course, I was so I was with a team that got dropped off at 11,000 feet, and literally 6 hours after we got dropped off on the mountain, a blizzard hit Bridgeport and put us under 4 feet of snow. So we're all dressed for summer, you know, summer activity, and now we're literally snowed in. And the battalion commander basically called Index and told everybody to try to find a road, and they were going to try to get 5 tons up there as soon as the road was cleared, which they couldn't yet. It took like a couple of days to clear the road. It's funny.
Shit did get pretty western up there quick, man. Like I the same thing happened to me when I went up there as a battalion too. We got on top of a mountain, and a blizzard came in. We wake up, and you know, the guys on the glass, and the rest of us wake up, and we've got like 3-4 inches of snow on top of us, and like shit got real in the night, you know. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can. All right, so you were an instructor up there. Be honest with me real quick. Were you grilling fucking steaks out of the back of your truck while the rest of us are, like, you know, somewhere in the defense? Are you grilling steaks out there middle of the night?
I would.
I mean, I would be too. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Steak, actually, to be honest with you, it was elk steak that I would cook, and I did that shit all the time.
Fuck yes.
Just ruining dudes, making them be like,
we can smell that shit on the perimeter.
Because I get to use it again, slobbering all over themselves like Pavlov's dog.
Yes, Pavlov.
I'm sure the statute of limitations is up for poaching, but I gotta ask, did you even have a tag for that elk?
Dude, bro, I'm from Montana. Fuck yeah, I had a tag for elk. Yeah.
You mean you didn't just go out and shoot it?
Well, no, dude. So hunting season, right, in Montana, like you go out and shoot an elk during hunting season, which is October to November. Then you take all that meat, you freeze it, right, and then when you go out into the field, right, a couple months later, you put it in your pack. By the end of the day, it's thawed out. You throw it on the fire and eat it while everybody else is, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my god, dude!
Fun when I thought you were roaming around Bridgeport with your sniper rifle, just capping elks. That's more fun.
No, I definitely didn't do that. No.
He was roaming around Montana with a sniper rifle, capping elk. Like, what?
That's what I do now. Absolutely.
Hell yes. Oh my god, I've got this 35 Marlin lever action. Just found new rounds, Hornady Flex tips. Ugh, serious punch. You should check them out. Anyway, quick little shout out. They're not a sponsor. Yeah. Anyway, this shit. What's that?
What's that?
Where in Montana are you from originally?
Great Falls, kind of the center of the state.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Elk steak, dude. I could smell that shit when I was on the perimeter, or like, you know, just I'd be sitting there with a red lamp under a fucking poncho trying to write an order because we would be like trying to rappel across scree fields in the next couple hours, and this motherfucker's cooking elk steak. Just like, you son of a bitch.
It's wrong on so many levels.
You were one of those
amazing
guys. See, I knew a guy, he, I want to say he got out as a gunny, but it was Staff Sergeant Cameron when I knew him, and he was a Bridgeport instructor when my battalion went through. And when I asked him, were you cooking, you know, steak or whatever, he's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. No, I remember your battalion. It was probably me. Yeah, I'll totally take credit. I don't give a fuck. I hope I ruined your night. Suck a dick. I'm just like, yes, great, thanks.
Hey, did you know a Master Sergeant Parkhurst out there?
Do I?
Yeah. Did you know
Tony
a guy?
Parkhurst.
Tony, yeah.
Tony Parkhurst.
You know him?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's my last name, right? And so when I heard about him, I was like, well, shit, I want to be him because he spent like most of his career at freaking Bridgeport. How do you do that?
Well, and now, I mean, now he's running the Packers.
School. Yeah, he's still there as a civilian.
Yeah, he is, and I'll tell you what, dude. Tony Parkhurst
he's living your life there, Tim.
Yeah, the one I always wanted. He stole
at least his name is Parkhurst. So
yes. Yeah. I met him once, and that's why I brought it up, because there's very few Parkhursts out there in the Marine Corps.
Especially Master Sergeant types.
Yeah, well, he was ahead of me a number of years, I guess. Right. I was a young corporal when he was a staff sergeant. So yeah.
Yeah, he was 85-41.
So that's where you did your instructor time. Did you go back to the fleet afterwards?
I did not, no. After that time, so my wife and I, up until that point where I, was about to end my time at Bridgeport, had 3 kids. So I have a boy and 2 girls, and I got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore with kids. You know what I'm saying? Like leaving my kids and my family, I couldn't do it anymore. And like towards the end of my last deployment, prior to Bridgeport, like I found myself thinking of my family all the time, and it wasn't cool, and it wasn't responsible of me to do that to the guys in my platoon. And I didn't feel that in all good conscience that I could operate anymore without just having my family on my mind always. And so I didn't do it. I elected to stop.
And look at that, a sniper able to squeak out a boy.
There you go.
That was my first shot, bro.
Just doesn't happen. And yeah, because we all have girls. That's a big joke that I always, it's mainly it's an East Coast thing too, but the recon and sniper community, it's karmic. We just make girls for the most part, overwhelmingly, percentage wise, it's just overwhelmingly girls in our community. And
interesting. There's gotta be something to that.
And you've got boy and then 2 girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So he's keeping up the averages.
Bennett's got 4 girls. Tim, you have 2.
Yep.
I've got boy, girl.
Right.
All family men. Hello. Anyway,
true.
I'm a Disney marksman, so I'm not as cool.
Most
as
of the other
guys.
recon guys that I know, I'm trying to think of like the 3 or 4 guys off the top of my head that I can think of. Every one of them has girls. Boys.
This comes up all the time because we, of course, meet fellow veterans, and it's like, oh yeah, we're all family men now, and we're out of the service. We're done with the lifestyle now, and we're evolving on into Marine veteran. And then it's like, oh well, shit, I've got all girls. Oh yeah, me too. Hey, we were all at Lejeune at the same time.
And that's the same guy.
I think it's the water.
That's the same guy that 10 years ago you would have said, dude, I wouldn't trust you with my date from last weekend, much less a child of your own.
Right.
But hey, here we are,
It's called evolution.
Right. Right. So hey,
we grow up eventually.
Give the audience your links again. Give us your takeaways, please. As far as like any fellow veterans with the colleges,
so if they want to
and
get
any
in
of this
contact with me, you can just go to or email me at Luke Urick. That's LUKEURICK @gmail.com, or you can visit us at our website, and that's www.eaglemount.net/MVP.php. And Eagle Mount is our parent organization. They're a 501c nonprofit up here in Montana who's been operating for 25 years, and they work with peds all the way up to geriatrics in order to give therapeutic trips
to
improve
Tim.
Quality of life. And so we fall under them. We've just started up with the Montana Vet Program where we're going to be working with veterans. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to see us, you can do that, or you can go to YouTube and see our video at just put in Montana Vet Program. Our video will pop up. You can also get us on Facebook and GoFundMe again. So Montana Vet Program, hit them up, and you can see what we're doing and what we're going to be doing. So and just a little more on what we do. So the idea of what we're going to be doing in the future is we're going to be taking groups of veterans from Montana and surrounding states into the iconic locations of Montana in order to promote healing. And so where we're going to be going is like Yellowstone and Glacier. And what we hope to get out of that is to get that sense of adrenaline, that fear, that that camaraderie piece while being in a suck fest. And one of the things that we like about like Yellowstone and Glacier is that I can't think of another place or a more primal place in the lower 48 than those two spots. There's 800 grizzly bears in Glacier, and there's 750 in Yellowstone, along with wolves, moose, buffalo. It's as primal as it gets. And so we're going to be taking groups of veterans into that stuff. And we're going to be taking our pig egg with us, and we're going to let camaraderie do the healing for a lot of these guys. And one of the important things that I think that's going to come from this is that individuals are going to be able to network with a new group of veterans. I don't know about you guys, but when it was time for me to get out, I was ready to go, and I got out as fast as I could. And one of the things that I feel that happens to a lot of veterans is that they do their 3 deployments. You guys know as well as I do is that there's a lot of guys who are pissed off after they're done doing 3 deployments because they've had some first sergeants lied to them, or somebody's given them some bullshit, and they've been dealing with crap. And so when it's time for them to get out, they get out and fly as fast as they can home or to wherever they want to go. And before you know it, they're isolated and they don't have any vets around them to talk to about the issues that they deal with. And so I think that by doing our trips that we're going to be able to bring these veterans together. They're going to be able to network with each other so that in the future, if they're struggling, they can call veterans from around around where they live, and they can talk to them to help them get through some of these tough times. And so that's what we're going to be doing with it is, these therapeutic trips is hauling our pig egg through some of the roughest and nice, potentially hazardous areas in Montana in order to get that vet to vet healing. So,
and awesome. what was the I'm sorry, what was the address again? It was eaglemount.net /
MVP.php. Papa Hotel Papa.
eaglemount.net / MVP.php.
Yes, sir.
Kill. All right, man. Fantastic. I just want to make sure that we double tap, triple tap even that link for folks. I know every once in a while we've got somebody just like scribbling down a note and checking stuff out while they're on the train. Andrew. Anyway, quick little shout out to our newsletter fella over there.
Who's actually up in the Yukon right now,
hunting and fishing and doing badass man shit. So
he just got their video the other day.
He just got there
cool.
yesterday.
God bless.
White Yukon.
So I told him that his challenge for the week was that he has to go into the river for a plunge, little polar plunge every day.
Do a little purge of the system.
That's right. Yeah. So jump in for 20, 30 seconds and jump back out, because I think the Yukon usually runs at about 37, 38 degrees, even at its warmest or something like that. So anyway,
little cardiac action there.
Luke, I'm telling you, I'm gonna look you up, Luke Urick.
And don't be, So
yeah, man, please do. Absolutely.
I want to shoot elk with you.
Yes. Absolutely, man. And, we're going to be taking, so what we're trying to do right now, man, is that we're, we just got done doing 112 miles. A group of us went from the Scapegoat Wilderness all the way up through the Great Bear Wilderness. And we came out right at the south end of Glacier National Park. And we've been doing that to generate revenue for our program. And what we need is equipment. And what we want to be able to do is, so when a veteran comes to me who's having issues, I want to be able to give him, I want to have like my own SIF, right? So he comes to me, all he's got to have on is some clothes and some boots, and I can give him a pack, I can give him a sleeping bag, I can give him all the food, I can give him a headlamp, his rain gear, his tarp, everything that he needs in order to go out into the mountains and get it on, right? And then once we get done, we come back we clean our gear just like we did in the Marine Corps. We take all that gear back from the guy. We then can reissue that gear to a vet later on. And so that we can be really efficient with the equipment that we have, because like you and I know, we learned that in the Marine Corps, you take care of your shit. So we're going to be able to be efficient with that. But what we need to do is we need to raise money for our equipment. And so that's what we're doing right now. And so we did 112 miles on a pledge system to raise money. And we've been going around the state. I've been speaking to a bunch of different clubs and what have you. And the goal of that, again, is so that we can be taking out veterans come this spring, probably mid-spring, late spring, wait for the snow to clear off some of them places. We want to be taking guys in and, whooping on and getting our trips going. And we also want to do, floats and things like that as well. So we've got a lot of ground to cover, and we've got a lot of stuff to do and a lot of groups of veterans to help out. And we're going to do it.
Nice. Very cool.
Sweet. It's awesome. Keep
adding value to the world, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah. And thanks. You guys too. I like your guys' show. It's been neat getting to, I've been on Warfighter Radio and getting to, come speak with you guys. I think it's an outstanding concept where you guys have giving the veterans a voice. I think it's outstanding. I do. I think it's great. So keep doing what you guys are doing as well.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
Well, look at that. So great to have a fellow Marine on Cigars and Sea Stories. Semper Fidelis to you. Luke, much appreciated. Thank you so much for your time, folks. If you haven't already done so, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM. We've got a variety of Android aggregators. Check out the website. We also just recently updated it with a search bar and other features. Check out cigarsandseastories.com/podcast for all the latest releases. Thank you again to Luke, Urick, and keep on keeping on, brother. Semper Fidelis. This is fantastic. So thank you so much.
You too.
Yeah. All right,
thank
folks.
You guys.
Tune in next time. On that note, we cue the music.